Hello, everyone. I'm Bob LaLiberte, Principal Analyst for the Cube Research, and welcome to Enterprise Connect here in Orlando, Florida. Today, I've got a special guest, Erik Delorey, who's the Senior Director of Innovation at Miratech.
That's right.
Awesome. So, yeah, welcome to Enterprise Connect. For everyone at home who doesn't know you and doesn't know Miratech, could you explain what Miratech does and why you're here at this premier UC and CC show today?
Sure. Miratech is a 35-year-old software development and consulting firm with specific expertise in the CCaaS market space.
Got it. And so what's an example of what you would do for a client? Could you maybe walk us through a little bit about what services you provide?
Sure. Well, we provide a technology, agnostic view of the market space. And what we do is we help customers kind of navigate their decisions when they look at cloud migrations, right? So they're taking a look at a lot of different vendors, and we provide consultative services and sort of background information that kind of cuts through a lot of the marketing hype and help them get to sort of a basis of truth and what's the right fit for them.
Yeah, and obviously with everyone, all the things that are going on now, it's especially confusing for organizations trying to find the time to be able to do the research, to be able to get those done. Like you said, to be able to figure out the wheat through the chaff, if you will, and find out what's important, what works, especially when they're doing something as monumental as going from an on-premise contact center solution to a cloud-based one.
Right.
What are the steps that are typically entailed when an organization is doing that? When you go in, what's the first thing you do with an organization?
Well, the first thing I do is I just kind of ask them what their vision is of the future, right? And what they're really hoping to accomplish, right? And how are they going to measure ROI, right? And then we take a look at sort of what are the hard must-haves in the organization, and then we'll take a look at sort of their internal processes and try to consult them on sort of the cloud paradigm, what it looks like from a velocity perspective or from a change management perspective, and just have an open, honest dialogue with them about, as a director of innovation, I'm always asking them, like, are we innovating software or are we innovating processes internally and people, right? So that's typically our first sort of layer one conversation.
Got it. And when you're going to do these events or projects from a scope and scale perspective, what are we looking at? Is this a couple of people coming in? Is it 50 people coming in? Is it dependent on the size of the client?
Yeah, it's really about like where they are in their maturity model and like what they're really considering. Sometimes it's as light as 2 people, right? And sometimes it's as deep as 5, right? To just get started and figure out what are all the mechanics, what exists in place, and kind of separate what is software functionality from business logic that they've built up over the years, right? To kind of answer a lot of those high anxiety questions that they have about, migrating over to a new platform.
Got it. That makes sense. And so we're obviously here at the show. There's a lot going on. Is there any news from Miratech that has come out recently that you'd like to share?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think we've done a lot of innovative things in the CCaaS market space. We took a look at all the marketplace applications that are out there. We found some sort of common themes that exist there. And so being technology agnostic, we wanted to create those customized adapters, right, and connections, but make it like CCaaS agnostic, right, so that you can integrate your CRM, right, whether that be Microsoft or Salesforce, and not have to worry if you're connecting that to, say, a Five9 or a Genesys, right? It's staying technology agnostic, giving the businesses, the enterprise, the most flexibility that we can offer them.
Awesome. That sounds great. Now, I've been at the show for a couple of days. I've been going to the keynotes and listening to some of the contact providers, right? AI, you can't walk about 10 feet in the show and not hear AI mentioned, agentic AI, some type of AI. Seen a bunch of the demos. They clearly purport that you could just click and create an agent and click and do this. Now, obviously, that makes for great demos and so forth. But what's the reality today for organizations moving to the cloud? How are organizations looking at how they implement AI into their contact center?
Sure. We have a lot of different variety out there. I mean, we've seen a lot of things about dark IT islands, right? And people kind of going out there and using ChatGPT all by themselves, right? And all of the new models and all of the new engines that are out there. So, what they're mostly delayed about, right, is how do we create a governance portal, right, and a model to funnel all of this stuff through, make it less dark IT, right, more like authorized IT, and what are sort of the vendors, how much governance do we have to put on this, how much testing is involved in creating our own, basic models. It's really just a lot of information sharing and trying to quell the fear that has been built up by, like, hey, if you don't adopt right away, you're going to miss out and you're going to be left behind.
Right.
But by the way, take care with security, right? And good luck with that, with no real information. So that's where we've been really focused a lot in on.
That makes a lot of sense. Certainly, there's a lot of FOMO out there about not adopting AI. It's balanced with, as you said, the governance around if we adopt it too quickly, what could that potentially do to our business? What security risks are there, and so forth. So it's really about, like you said, getting that information, finding it out, and moving as fast as possible, while still maintaining good governance and good compliance. Right, with the industry standards and with internal regulations.
Yeah. You get a software development mindset, right? Of fail fast, right? And you have a risk adverse, leadership quality that is like, I don't want to fail at all.
Correct.
Right? So it's about controlled failure in controlled environments, and correcting that and learning from that hands-on activity to kind of generate and create the innovation that is needed in a lot of those enterprises.
And that's where Miratech comes in, right? You've been there, you've done that, you've seen that. Those potential failure points many times, so you're able to get people over those hurdles as smoothly as possible without having any failures.
Yeah, well, it's about having failures in a controlled environment, because you're gonna
not eliminating them completely.
You're never going to do it, right? But it's making the risk exposure very private, making those failures very private in a sandbox, right? Absolutely. And that's what tinkering is, and that's what this new technology, and especially when you're dealing with AI, when you're dealing with prompt engineering, it's that tinkering and that experimentation that's going to get you to success.
Absolutely. So before we go, I'd love to hear about maybe example of a customer that you've worked with and the end result of your participating in that project.
Sure. So we had a very large biomedical device manufacturer who wanted to deploy AI. It was a huge ROI vision that they had. They have a very complex catalog, but it's very specialized language, right? Mm-hmm. And so they have very specialized terminology, very scientific terminology, and they wanted to do it across 5 languages, right? So now you've got to translate from English to, Europe's top 5, right? And now you got to encompass this customized, pronunciation of these scientific and proprietary terms, right? And so customizing a large language model, right, or actually generating a RAG, right, that attaches to the large language model, was very, very specific for this customer. And so we were very, very proud of the low-cost solution that we implemented for that customer that allowed the teams to get access to that data and make small modifications, right, as new products came online, so that they wouldn't have to restart from scratch and retrain a model. It simply is like adding additional details and data to their existing framework.
And give me an idea of the time frame to do something like that without Miratech and with Miratech. I mean, what were they looking at before they brought you in?
Well, they didn't really, the vendor, right, the actual manufacturer said it can't get done, right? And they said things like, oh, it's roadmap, next year maybe. But the complexities of translating that proprietary language into other languages was very, very difficult. And they said we don't even have that on our roadmap. Sorry, right? So Miratech took a look at exactly, our speech scientists took exactly how these languages are structured and took a look at how these words are actually created from Old Latin. The science is Latin, so we took a look at that. And then we combined a model together and created a solution within 30 days.
Awesome. That sounds like a great win for Miratech and the customer to be able to get that up and running when people thought it couldn't be done.
It was really special, and it was really exciting when they went through the testing phase, right, with their UAT testers, and everything came back with 0 defects. It was like one of those moments, right, that you were like, please don't expect this all the time, but we're very glad that we were able to accomplish that for you.
That's awesome. Excellent. Well, thank you very much, Erik. Thank you for joining me. And to all of you watching, thank you again. I'm Bob LaLiberte, Principal Analyst for theCUBE Research, and we're here at Enterprise Connect 2025 in Orlando, Florida.